everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is Tim Wang, and I'm presenting today in my role as a certified public nutritionist with the World Health Organization. This briefing here will provide an in-depth view at Austria's dietary patterns, cultural food practices, and key public health nutrition challenges. We will explore together how modern eating trends and globalization have affected the nation's health outcomes. And I'll also, at the end, offer a WHO aligned strategy to support nutritional well being across the country. So, here we have an overview of the presentation. It's a brief roadmap on what I will be going over today, and I'll walk through six key sections. First, we'll explore Austria's traditional diet and food culture, followed by how modern dietary habits and globalization have reshaped what people eat. Then I'll outline the most pressing nutrition-related public health challenges in Austria and examine the causal pathway between diet and disease. Finally, I'll present a set of WHO-aligned strategies that can support a healthier dietary outcome and close references with supporting this briefing. Okay. Austria's traditional diet is deeply influenced by its agricultural roots, geography, and Central European history. Typical staples include pork, dairy, bread, and potatoes, foods that have long been accessible through local farming and are well suited for cold climates. Hearty meat dishes like Wiener Schnitzel, along with cheese, cream-based sauces, and baked goods such as prosciutto, are still very iconic in the country's cuisine today. A daily meal rhythm also follows a distinct structure of breakfast, which is pretty light, often just bread with butter and jam. Midday meal lunch, which is traditionally the largest and most nutritionally dense, usually featuring a hot meat dish and side of like dumplings or potatoes, and finally dinner, which tends to be cold and a little bit lighter, often including bread, cheese, or deli meats. Beyond the food itself, Austria places a strong cultural value on mealtime. The country's famous coffee house culture encourages social interactions around food and drink, while many families still practice shared Sunday lunches and weekend dinners, although that is dwindling as modernization progresses. Nutritionally, however, this traditional pattern poses some concerns. Meals are frequently high in saturated fats from animal products and refined carbohydrates. Fiber, legumes, and fresh vegetables, although present, often play a smaller role. This imbalance can contribute to elevated risk of cardiovascular issues when not offset by physical activity or dietary diversity. These traditions are important to acknowledge because they shape both the strengths and limitations of the country's nutritional landscape in the past and today. While Austria has a rich culinary tradition, its modern diet has shifted dramatically, largely due to its influence of globalization and urban lifestyle changes. One of the most notable trends is the sharp rise in ultra-processed food and consumption, often referred to as UPFs. This includes packaged snacks, sugary beverages, ready-made meals, and fast food, many of which have begun replacing traditional home-cooked meals that are more nutritionally diverse, balanced, and healthy. Alongside this, there has been a visible decline in traditional culinary behaviors. Many people are eating fewer seasonal or local foods, cooking less frequently at home, and moving away from sit-down family-style meals that I've referenced earlier under coffee house. Cultural food rituals, once central to the Austrian identity, are slowly being replaced by more rushed, convenience-driven habits. So it is an issue that goes beyond of what a person in Austria simply eats. It's also how the person eats it, who the person eats it with, well as when. The modern food environment also places convenience over health. Marketing, digital food delivery platforms, and an abundance of quick snack options encourage eating on the go, often with little nutritional consideration. This shift has disrupted eating patterns and contributed to nutrient imbalance, particularly among younger demographics, who are less educated and as less aware, more susceptible to the marketing strategies as well. Nutritionally, today's average Austrian diet tends to be energy dense but nutrient poor, so high in calorie, low in macro and micronutrients. There's more saturated fat, added sugar, and sodium, and far less fiber, vitamins, and essential minerals. These changes can set the stage for health risks that I'll discuss in the next slide. These dietary shifts have had a measurable impact on public health outcomes in Austria. The country currently ranks fifth globally in fast food consumption, which reflects how normalized ultra-processed and convenience foods have become in the daily diet. At the same time, less than 6% of Austrians meet the recommended intake of 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day, a clear indicator of inadequate micronutrient consumption and fiber intake. These dietary gaps are contributing to rising rates in non-communicable disease. Over 24% of Austrian adults, both men and women, are classified as obese, which significantly increases the risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diabetes, and metabolic disorders. What these numbers show us is that the problem isn't just cultural, it's structural. Dietary habits are now directly linked to preventable chronic illnesses, and the burden on Austria's public health system is growing. This flowchart summarizes how globalization has influenced the rise of diet-related disease in Austria discussed in the last slide. It begins with increased global food access, which is inherently negative, but in Austria this access has largely meant a surge in ultra-processed foods availability. These products are engineered for shelf life and convenience, but not nutrition. Alongside this, aggressive marketing, especially targeting children and young adolescents, encourage early adoption of sugary drinks, salty snacks, and fast food. These influences drive a significant shift in dietary patterns, away from nutrient-dense meals and toward energy-dense, low-fiber diets. Consequently, we see a reduction in overall nutrient intake, including essential vitamins, minerals, and fiber. This dietary imbalance contributes directly to the rise of non-communicable diseases like NCDs, such as obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular conditions. Ultimately, this trend places a growing strain on the country's public health system, which it must now manage an increasing burden of preventable chronic illnesses. More strain on hospitals, more strain on logistics when it comes to cafeterias providing food, transportation used by the public, and the country's taxation system. Addressing this chain of effect requires a coordinated policy, education, and cultural shifts, which I'll discuss in the next slide. To address Austria's growing public health concerns and related to diet, I propose adapting the World Health Organization's Replace strategy, originally created to eliminate industrial trans fat as a comprehensive national framework for nutritional reform. The strategy is divided into 6 key actions, each of which can be tailored to Austria's specific challenges. First up is review. First up is the letter R, stands for review, which is to review the country's current food landscape. This means identifying major dietary contributors to disease such as excess processed meats, sugar, sweetened beverages, and packaged snacks, and understanding how these items dominate in supermarkets, schools, and public institutions. Reviewing also includes evaluating the availability and pricing of healthier options, such as organic fruits, legumes, and whole grains. Next, we must promote P, healthy eating through sustained public campaigns. In Austria, this could include awareness initiatives that emphasize seasonal, local produce, and plant-forward diets, or plant-heavy diets. Messaging should celebrate the culinary heritage and traditional whole foods, while encouraging vendors and restaurants to reduce their use of ultra-processed ingredients. Perhaps this can be achieved through subsidy, government campaigns, or locally funded ads. Legislate is the third component, and arguably the most impactful one too. National policies should include taxation on high sugar and high sodium foods, restrictions on junk food and advertising to children, and standardized nutritional labeling. For example, clear front-of-package labels could help consumers identify healthier choices at a glance, reducing confusion in grocery stores. Then we move into the assess phase. Regularly collecting national data on ultra-processed food consumption, NCD prevalence, and population level nutrient intake is crucial. Austria can administer school and workplace surveys to identify gaps in awareness and behavior, and these insights can help be used to adjust interventions in real time. The create component focuses on shifting attitudes through education. Introducing food literacy and nutrition to elementary school curriculums would help shape lifelong habits, especially if paired with practical activities like cooking classes. Additionally, media campaigns that involve respected chefs and influencers could normalize balanced eating in a culturally relevant way. After all, it is the internet that has the biggest reach on the entire population. Finally, enforce ensures accountability. Public institutions, schools, hospitals, government, cafeterias, etc., must follow dietary guidelines in their meal programs. Misleading health claims on product packaging should be penalized, and the government should publish annual progress reports with clear benchmarks and incentives to ensure compliance. Taken all together, this multi-level strategy will allow Austria to slow the spread of diet-related disease while protecting its food tradition and promoting long-term public health resilience. That is all for the presentation today. Thank you so much for listening. These are the references I have listed that support my claims in the slideshow that I have just went over. Thank you.